back to the show, guys.
I'll be turning up for my seat.
How's everybody doing tonight? Go ahead, get the chat popping. Let me know where you all are checking it from. We're officially live. I see my reactions making me laugh. We're officially live. Let's get it. We're officially live tonight. We're talking about ADHD and hurt feelings, So I want to know. Of course, I'm gonna go into my little rant, at the beginning of the live stream. But today's show is dedicated to, talking about some of the emotions you feel, and the hurt, that comes with the criticisms or the things that people say about you as it relates to ADHD. So I can't wait to get into it. Let me see where everybody's checking in from, and then we're gonna hop into the topic. Let's get it. Queen Creek, Arizona in the house. New Brunswick, Canada in the house. San Diego, California in the house. Virginia in the house. Oklahoma in the house. This is my boyfriend. He's here. Jessica, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it tonight. North Carolina, Fort Myers. New York, Anderson, South Carolina. I had a friend from Anderson one time. Ohio, Ontario, Kentucky, Iowa, Alberta. I got a friend in Red Deer, Alberta. I got to get out there one day. San Antonio. Okay. California, Fairfax, Cincinnati. Oh, after the Bengals beat us, I'm not a fan of Cincinnati anything right now. Ohio. Okay. All right. Make sure the browser's working, the links are working. Okay, we're good to go. Longdale, North Carolina, Boston, Oregon, America, Bluffton. Oh no, a Chiefs fan. A Chiefs fan just popped up in the chat. Oh, Mickey Ficky. You pronounce my name Kojo Sarfo. Kojo Sarfo. And all my people on the East Coast, you all stay safe. I know that there's a storm coming through or something like that. So you all be safe out there. Please take it easy. But tonight we're talking about ADHD and hurt feelings. And I got the title from it's a Mac Miller song. Mac Miller was one of my favorite artists. Rest in peace. He talked a lot about mental health and substance use, and he also had ADHD as well. And he talked about that in some of his songs. But he has a song called "Hurt Feelings," and I like it because he put the lyrics over like a catchy beat. But he's talking about his hurt feelings in the song, and with ADHD, there's this phenomenon, and I have the article for you all here because y'all might want that. I know y'all. I know how y'all like to tussle. I got an article here from Psychology Today. Let me go ahead and drop this in the chat. You are loved. Donna, thank you so much. I appreciate that. When people drop the comments like you're loved, I appreciate you. Thank you for your videos. I think it goes a long way. Like that type of appreciation, like I feed off that energy. The same way that maybe with ADHD you might really feel like something hurtful that's said to you. I feed off of that energy and that yeah, I love the energy. I love it. Mickey Ficky. Thank you so much, Better Colin. Better Colin, what's your name? Can I get a name for you? So that way I know how to address you. All right, let me drop this in here. Rudy, I appreciate you. Okay, so it's dropping the link on all the platforms. Perfect. All right, so I dropped a link in there. And it should ADHD and rejection sensitivity dysphoria, right? And the little subtitle is how to overcome the pain of criticism and finally feel good enough. And I like that they put that there because when you get criticized, right, there's many things that we don't do correctly. And like I know personally from my own experience, like I've made a lot of mistakes, and it's nice when somebody pulls you aside, like an OG. They pull you aside and say, "Hey, Coda, this is not how you do this. We do it this way. We don't do it that way." In a calm voice, just like that. The only exception is when I was playing football in high school, and the coach was like on my ass, and he was like, "Hey, get in there!" Like if it comes to sports, like I like that type of like aggressive energy, like But with other things that you might not be as good at, when people say things to you, the way they say it, depending on how it's phrased, it can actually be pretty hurtful. And looking at this article, the way describe rejection sensitivity dysphoria. It's nice, and I'm gonna read it here, and you all tell me if you all can relate. All right, my people in Houston, how are y'all doing? Hope y'all doing good. Aurora, I see your comment. I appreciate you. As I'm opening up this little candle, I'm not gonna show the name because no free promo, but I'm gonna see if it smells good. Rejection sensitivity dysphoria refers to intense feelings related to the belief that you let other people down, embarrassed yourself, failed at something, or made a serious, unfixable mistake. And as a result, people pull back their support, love, or respect. Rejection sensitivity dysphoria causes extreme emotional pain that plagues both children and adults, even when no actual rejection has taken place. And I agree with that. I agree with that definition. This is one of the candles that got the little. It's like a, how do I describe it? Okay, I'll see it. It's not like the typical candle. I don't know what it's called, but either way, let's see if it smells good. But yes, the extreme emotional pain, the extreme emotional pain when you're criticized. And this is something that I've struggled with a lot. I think it's easier to talk about your own personal experience. Um, and I remember, let's go back to 2017. I remember that was like my second year in the doctorate program, and I had just gone through a breakup, right? And as you know, anytime you go through a breakup, sometimes you have that awkward conversation afterwards where you're checking to see what your ex did, like are they seeing somebody else or blah blah blah. Not fun. But the year is 2017. I just came off of a breakup, and I'm like, all right, I want to learn. So I decided to ask my ex. I was like, hey, what are some things that you think I could do better, moving forward, and for the rest of my life, and then other relationships. Um, and then I also, she also asked me the same question, and she told me, get this, she said, Kojo, I think you're a smart guy, blah 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 blah. She led up to it, and then she's put the but I think you take things personally, too much. Like sometimes if you take things personally, like it's gonna affect you. So trying to take things personally. You know, that was the whole gist of the conversation. And I wasn't surprised to hear that, because I like, being a failing high school student and being overlooked by people, I kind of, have that chip on my shoulder, kind of like Michael Jordan when he got cut from the varsity um, uh, basketball team as a sophomore, I think, or as a freshman. So I'll take like the hurt or the pain, whatever somebody does to me, and if they've hurt me, I'm gonna feel it. Maybe I'll feel it a little bit too much, but I'll try and reframe it and say, okay, all right, cool. I'm gonna use it to push me. I'm gonna really, really push myself. I'm gonna be the greatest at whatever I do. I'm gonna be the best for my patients. I'm gonna be the best intramural basketball player. I'm gonna be the best whatever. But there was something to what she was saying that I do agree with. Like I take things personally all the time. Like, and it becomes an issue when somebody might say something to you and they had no intention of hurting you, but you took it in a way that you felt like they were trying to take a dig at you. And then you have like an over the top emotional reaction. You like, who are you talking to? Like, like you don't know me, you don't know what I've done. And for me, the way I process that is by, you know, same thing I tell my patients, you detach yourself from your thoughts, right? Like you are not your thoughts, you know. Like if you think that somebody said something about you that makes you feel bad, you have the right to feel bad, but you're not your thoughts. So, whenever I have those like thoughts or feelings that, oh, these feelings that, oh, you're not good enough because so and so said this, or I want to work with this company or that company, and I want to pitch this thing to this show, and they're like, you're not good enough, you're not funny enough, we don't like your content. I'm talking about my life right now, things that I go through. I'm not as affected by it because I have that safeguard where I tell myself, all right, you can say whatever you want to say about me, but it doesn't define who I am. Like it's just a thought. You said that, and this is how I felt. It's just a thought. Same thing with any kind of thought, right? If you think you're dumb or you're stupid, it's just a thought. You don't have to believe everything your brain tells you. I think it even works that way for suicidal thoughts, right? You have this thought that there's no hope, nothing to live for, but like that's not what you want to do. It's just a thought. You don't have to believe it. You know, you don't have to believe it. It's just a thought. So what the rejection, sensitivity, dysphoria. I'm looking here in the article to the right. It says you just can't seem to shake off critical comments from others and believe at some level that you deserve them. And when you believe that you deserve the critical comments, I think you've catch yourself like you don't want to be there. You're kind of getting into that rabbit hole where you get paralyzed by shame and the frustration that you're stuck there, and before you know it, you're paralyzed. You can't get up and do the actionable things that relieve your anxiety. Right? You're going to be low. You're going to be stuck there. You got to move. You got to move. We're humans. We got to get shit done. Right? We have to move. But you're stuck there and you're frustrated, and that's something that, fortunately for me, I never really allowed myself to get to that point where I'm stuck on somebody's opinion. Instead, I'm like, all right, f you, f them. I'm going to show them. But sometimes, in my first book, I talk about being worried about the wrong thing, and that's something that I've definitely been guilty of. Just being worried about the wrong thing. If so and so didn't like you, or if I spent all this time pitching a project to some company and they didn't like it, that's their loss. Like my stuff is good. Like I believe that. That's their loss. I don't have to convince you of anything, right? Sometimes when you're trying to convince somebody of something or some company of something, like the more you have to like explain yourself, the more you know that you might not be doing such a good job. Not that you're not worthy, but like you're selling yourself too hard. Certain things shouldn't be that difficult. And sometimes the bounce back from that low point, you feel like you have to like over prove yourself. You don't have to over prove yourself. Like you're either it or you're not. You know, like you have it or you don't have it. And if you believe that you have it, you have it. And anybody who does not believe that, you have to be mindful of that. And I say all the time, to protect your mental health, you gotta be careful of who you let in your inner space. Like, if somebody like cracking away at, that confidence that you have, if somebody making you feel less than. And sometimes people are giving you good advice, things that would improve your life. But if you automatically go on the defensive, so I'm not saying that people are just evil and out to get you, but if you go on the defensive sometimes, you could potentially miss a blessing. Maybe somebody was placed in your life to like put you on game, but you immediately went on the defensive because somebody else before that had told you a similar thing and it made you feel really bad. And once you get that shitty feeling within yourself again, you're like, I've seen this before. Like I know where this is leading. So I have to like reject this person. That person or that company or whatever might not be a bad thing. But if you have this preconceived notion that okay, people are out to get me, or you feel things to a level that's, you know, more than what, one would expect, that can be pretty difficult. So, just learning about this is helpful. And the reason why I think it's helpful is because when people with ADHD, like you get diagnosed or you stumble upon one of my videos or somebody's videos and you go down the rabbit hole of searching and you're so interested in learning about it. But once you can connect the dots and you can put two and two together and say, oh my gosh, the reason why I blew up on, we've been talking about ADHD relationships this week. The reason why I blew up my partner or my spouse is because they said this one thing that took me back to 7 years ago when somebody else said that. It made me feel less than. And because they said a similar thing, I really felt it. So I then had, an over the top reaction, maybe cussed them out, called them out of their name or something like that. That led to an argument, right? And then we spoke about ADHD and sex a little bit this week. And because now you're all beefing, you're not being intimate, right? So like it really affects all parts of your life. So once you can put the pieces together, you're like, okay. So that's why I'm doing this. That's why this is going on. And sometimes just the awareness that something ain't right is good enough to get you back on track. So that's why when I was thinking of topics today, I was like, yeah, this ties in with the whole ADHD and relationships theme for the week. Even interpersonal relationships or intimate relationships, like that feeling where you hear something that you don't want to hear. It's hard for anybody, but like what I've done, of course, I'm a big believer in, going to therapy, getting professional help. I saw a therapist during the pandemic, and now I'm in California. So at some point, I got to find one in California because life is much different now. Somebody to talk to work things out. But it's important to understand these things so you have more insight into yourself, right? Whether it's through a therapist or whether it's through a friend, you just want to learn yourself more, right? And then you can stop blaming yourself for feeling things so hard. So I see you all agree. I'm looking through the comments, and yeah, I think it's great that we have this safe space where we have this Facebook page. I know people are also checking in from LinkedIn and YouTube and Twitch as well. And those people who are watching for those platforms, I do appreciate you. I think that's dope that we have StreamYard and we can blast this live to all these different platforms. But it's important to talk about this so you don't feel like you're out of place. And I'm a big believer in the fact that like it takes, maybe it's because I'm African, right? But it takes a village. Like it takes a lot of people to come together to get shit popping, right? Like to do great things, we need like a lot of people to come together to help us, get things off the ground. So we need each other, and also with your, especially specifically with your like your partners, right? If you're in a relationship, sometimes you might be asking like too much from your partner. Not that they can't give to you or they're not good enough, but you're relying on them and they may not have the capacity to understand like what you're going through, right? And they're not a bad person. They just they don't have your condition, or they don't have ADHD, or they don't get it. It doesn't make them a bad person, right? But if you're frustrated that they don't get it, then you're directing your energy towards like it's like you versus them instead of both of y'all versus the problem, right? So once you realize that, okay, this is what's going on, this is why I feel the way I feel, then you come, damn it, you come to my live, you come to this, my show out here, and we talk about it, and then you read through the comments, you see people who are going through the same thing, and then you might add them, and they might become your friend, and you're like, oh, I live in Iowa, I live in Alberta, and then you connect and you have that community, and then when you come back to your relationship or your kids or your parents or the people who don't get it, then you're less stressed because you already have that validation. Whereas your people might not get it. They still love you, but they don't know what you're talking about, right? They just don't know what you're talking about. So that's my thoughts. Those are my thoughts when it comes to ADHD and hurt feelings. And now I want to know what you all's experience has been, when as or even with any type of hurt feelings. You don't have to have ADHD, but I want to know like when your feelings are hurt, how does that manifest for you? Are you, throwing things around the house? Are you in somebody's face? Or how's that manifest for you? Hey, I see Detroit in the building. Detroit, what's up? Alicia says, felt like that for years, still do certain friends. Yeah, look, sometimes your friends just don't get it. And keep in mind, it takes energy to explain things to people. And you might drain yourself out explaining it to people, and they don't get it. They're not bad people. They're not, you have to cut them off and say, oh, you're toxic. They're not toxic. They just don't get it, right? Um, Let me go back and get some feedback. Mandy, I completely agree. It can be a hidden blessing. Yeah, you can help other people. Like having a story is a powerful thing. Having a story is a powerful thing. Uh, I tend to think negatively about myself, even if it's not my fault. Right. So, Alicia, that is like a negative thought is an expensive thought. I just, I just made up with this thought. A negative thought is an expensive thought. Somebody write that down. Say, yeah, yeah. I like that. Think about it. I'm like thinking about it as I said it. But a negative thought is an expensive thought because it costs you a lot, right? It robs you of your peace of mind, and that's just for starters. But anything that robs you of your peace of mind, that's that's too much of a price to pay right there and then, right? But it also robs you of your time because you're thinking that you're not good enough, and then you're paralyzed. Instead of doing the things that you want to do, you're stuck on this thought, right? And maybe the person who said it has moved on. They said it 3 weeks ago. They're living a life, and you're like, why did that person think that? Say that about me? Like, do they really think that? Like a negative thought will like stunt you so much, and like that can lead to frustration, to shame, to guilt. So a negative thought is an expensive one. So that's why, I'm a big fan of getting rid of those thoughts, reframing things in your mind. Anytime a negative thought comes to my head, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I say, nope. I'm the best at this particular thing that I'm doing right now. I'm going to do the best that I can do. My best is good enough. I'm not going to compare myself to anybody. But those negative thoughts, they get you. They get you. Yeah, Ashley. Ashley, what's up? How you doing? Yeah, it robs you of your time. Robs you of your time. Witness. So I was told I was emotionally sensitive. Just had a conversation with my husband explaining I felt I'm never good enough and never able to meet the demands. But I'm also a special education teacher and have channeled my experiences to supporting students with disabilities, uh, connect with resources and strategies to be independent. Right. So Kathleen, that's a positive way of using your experiences to help somebody else. And I think I feel like I do that a lot. Like we moved from, of course I was born in Ghana, West Africa, then we moved to Norway. And then at age of 6, we moved from Norway to Nashville, Tennessee, right? So when I came to Nashville, Tennessee, like they put me in the ESL classes, right? English as a second language. So but they didn't know that I could speak English. So I was teaching the Hispanic kids in their English. And then the people were like, why are you in here? Like, why are you in this class? But my parents, they put me in the ESL class, and they put me on like a special bus, like the short bus, so that I didn't have to go to the school that we were zoned to go to in Nashville, Tennessee. So that's just how it was. That's how we had to go to school, right? But when I was in the ESL classes, I got to talk to the other kids who couldn't speak English, properly, and then that way, I saw their pain, their frustration, and I also got to help out kids who had like learning disabilities, right? Because once I learned how to read, it took me a while. But once I learned how to read, I was so eager to teach. So, using your experiences to help out other people, I guess kind of makes sense why I'm doing this as a living right now. Uh, I think it's important to recognize the thought and the value it brings. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. But negative thoughts, I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want negative thoughts. And Brandy, yeah, you learn compassion and a love for helping other people, and that's something that I need. Like I need to know, like it's a need for me. I need to know that like the things I'm doing is like helping, right? Whether it's through education or entertainment or something. Like I need to know that like I'm not just like wasting away. So it's a way to look at it from the perspective of I went through this, it sucked, but because I went through it, now I'm helping somebody else out. So you can put like a why to the suffering, right? You have to put a why to the suffering, or else you feel like it's pointless. Every moment of every day, impulsiveness and the knee jerk reaction. I also have a BPD. Yeah, so ADHD has a lot of co-occurring conditions, and borderline personality disorder is another thing that we'll talk about separately, and that could definitely make it difficult to manage your emotions. 3 domestic violent relationships and childhood traumas. Oh, very sorry to hear that, but you have to understand that like once you connect everything together and you realize, oh, this is why like I was a little bit more vulnerable to ending up in this type of a relationship. At that point, you start to put things together and you can kind of, using pattern recognition to figure out, all right, I got in this situation, it didn't feel good, I didn't like it. Now, what can I do to empower myself to avoid this type of thing again, right? I feel like in life, there's certain things that you only have to experience once. There's certain types of pain that you feel it once, and I'm like, all right, I'm good. I don't have to feel that again. I'm good. I'm good. I'm literally good. My dog is barking. Oh Lord. Normally my dog would be behind me, but she needs to stay where she's at. She's had a lot of time to play today. Same with yeah. Sometimes it can be really difficult with bipolar as well. Emily says, I tend to dwell on it. No matter what I do, I can't move on. Uh, See, I don't like that wording. You haven't been able to move on, but you when you say you can't, like then you can't. So sometimes I'm really particular with wording, like I can't. You just haven't done it yet. But you will move on. So like once again, like that mindset. But like that's where professional help comes in, because when you turn a can't into a like I can, I just haven't done it yet. Then you think to yourself, oh shit, I can do this. I haven't done it yet. My dog barking is like when it's like when I don't have any kids, but it's like when you take a kid somewhere, and they're embarrassing you. Zoe, relax. What do you do daily? Have helped, or what I do daily has helped to control and get you out of depression. Laisha, I'm happy. Wow, I'm happy to read that. Thank you for all your videos. Bridget, I appreciate you as well. Uh, I have difficulty moving on. Yeah, and keep in mind, like a lot of people struggle moving on. Like it's not something to beat yourself up over, right? Like why can't you move on? Something happened and it made it difficult for you to move on. So it's like you went through that pain, that trauma, and it's just taking you a little bit longer than somebody else. But it doesn't mean that you can't. You just haven't yet. You know. I think and rethink and overthink constantly and how I do it and when I do it. Right. So with the overthinking, sometimes like I see that too with like especially if you feel something a lot, like the rejection sensitivity and the hurt feelings, the overthinking that comes after it and the blaming yourself. I know like I've done that before. Um, and for me, it was a little bit different because a lot of my self-esteem, right, and confidence is tied to my productivity, which can be a good thing, but that's not like a good long-term type of thing. Because when I rest and I put things on chill mode for a week or two or something like that, what am I going to do? Like, you can't go every single day, right? You have to take breaks. So I've created a system, with a team and assistants and things like that, post, allow me to take a break and things like that. So I can stay productive in a sense, right? I have an extension of me, but me myself, I can't just keep going and going and going. So like I've learned that when I'm not productive, I feel a certain way. So stay productive, but not by using myself, right? You have to do everything that you can do to keep your self esteem in check. And literally, self esteem and confidence is something that it takes a while to build it up. But like one bad day, honestly, can like drop your self esteem pretty far. So whatever you can do to keep that intact is helpful. Usually I'm more emotionally invested in my partner, which makes it difficult. Right. So once again, emotional, like, and I had this debate with my mom, and it went in a debate because we were on the same side. So I don't know what we were arguing. Maybe we're just talking because we like to talk and hear our own voices, but we both agree that emotional pain is worse than physical pain. Actually, I'd like to know what you all think. What's worse, emotional pain or physical pain? Like I work out, I play football. Like I've been hit so hard. I've been hit so hard in high school that I go home and I was shitting blood. Because I was like hurt all over. Um, I felt like I was on my period. Like that's how tough it was playing football. Like those guys hit hard. So like I've had emotional pain and you're hurting for like a week and a half, right? But now like I feel good. Like I don't remember the person who hit me so hard in high school football. But that emotional pain lingers for years. That emotional pain, I think emotional pain is worse. It is not even close. Not even close. Uh, not close to work at all. Emotional pain. Yeah. So you all agree with me. It looks like you all get it. Yeah. Physical pain. Yeah, physical hurts, and like I'm not out here looking to be hurt or like like I don't want to be hurt physically at all. But the emotional pain. Obviously, if we can avoid both, but life comes with a great deal of pain and suffering. Like you can't avoid that. So when you can process these things and understand it, it makes it easier for you, in my opinion, right? It makes it easier because you know that it's gonna come, but now it's a matter of how you respond to it, right? And even if you're somebody who you're easy to really feel, like you really feel what people say about you, and you start to believe it, and it hurts your self esteem, right? With that rejection sensitivity dysphoria, even if you have that, right? Whatever you can do to bring your self esteem up a little bit is helpful. You know, I tell people to lean into the things that you're good at, and you know you can drown out a negative thought by replacing it with positive thoughts that you believe. You know, because you don't want to. There's nothing wrong with feeling hurt or too hurt by something that somebody says, right? That's how you felt. That's how you felt. It's just a thought. It's not who you are. But then it's like, all right, what are we gonna do now to move past that? You know, how are we gonna get past it? Physical pain goes away. Oh yeah, emotionally. One of my favorite songs by Lil Baby is "Emotionally Scarred." Uh, that's like a top five Lil Baby song. But yeah, like emotional pain is it's really difficult. Um, I feel like healing hurts worse than the actual trauma. Oh, Mickey Ficky. Oh my goodness. Wow. Wow. Who said that? Jessica. Jessica gets the love of the show because I feel like I agree with that. Um, and that's something that I want to talk about more online. Like, you know, like everybody talks about, I'm on my healing journey. Like the healing journey, like, you know, I don't know if nobody told you, but that part is pretty rough too. You know, because that's like the aftermath. It's kind of like when a hurricane comes through, right? You know, and then the hurricane sucked, yes, but you know the aftermath is there. Like you have to rebuild. You have to rebuild New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. You have to rebuild, you know, Florida after Hurricane Andrew, or you know, I think that's right, Hurricane. But you have to put the pieces back together. You know, whereas the actual devastation, boom, it happened and it was gone, and then the healing is like the rebuilding part. So yeah, that's yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Um, so rough as shit, suppressed memories. What the fuck? And someone saying that they lost uh their father. Sorry for your loss. Someone who dropped in there. Definitely sorry for your loss. Provider Frank, what's going on? I remember Frank from Twitch. How have you been? How have you been? And yes, Jose, I know hold up, that Jose. So it was Ileana says my father passed 3 months ago. Ileana, very sorry to hear that. I'm definitely sorry to hear that. You know, send my condolences. It's definitely never easy, and now this weird pandemic world we're living in, it makes things worse. You know, so definitely sorry to hear that. And Jose, I have heard of Healthy Gamer Gigi. Um, he's on Twitch. He's the doctor. He's Doctor K. I forget his like full last name, but I know he's a Harvard trained psychiatrist, and I've seen a couple of his like clips. I'm a big fan of him. Well, I haven't seen all of his clips, but I am a fan of him. I love his work. I really like the work that that he does. I would love to talk with him. You know, that would actually be something that I would really be interested in doing. I could talk with him for an hour and a half. I'd love to pick his brain on a lot of things. Yeah. So if you all are familiar with Healthy Gamer GG on Twitch or YouTube, he makes more so content for gamers, mental health content for gamers. So I think our audiences are a little bit different because, like, for me, you know, for whatever reason, across the board, 80% of my followers are female and 20% are male. And then here on Facebook is like the same, 81% female, 19% male. And my largest demographic is women between ages of 25 to 34. So I think that's different from Healthy Gamer Gigi's demographic of like gamers, you know, because gamers are more than likely males who are like teens. So yeah, I would love that collab, you know, because I'm trying to reach the guys more, and then he can maybe cross over, and yeah, I would love that collaboration. That would be great. That would be great. Anna says, "How do I explain the inconsistency in my feelings to my boyfriend without pushing him away? Some days we talk constantly, and others I don't want to be on the phone at all. We also live together, even though we don't get to spend much time together. I almost feel like I'm suffocating because I don't want to tell to always tell him when I don't want to talk because I don't want to hurt his feelings and wants. So I think you're stuck in a tough position there. Like I said, the title is hurt feelings, right? But it's and I used to do this too. But when you when you when you operate that way, you tend to make the decision for the other person, right? So it's like, oh, I want to tell him this, but he'll be hurt. So like you're making the decision for him. You're actually making it harder on yourself, right? So the closer you can get to letting go, you know, the more liberation you'll have, right? The more mental clarity. It won't solve your problem, but it'll make you feel like you can speak up and be heard. So that's what I'll say to that. Physical effects, more. It could. I'm grateful. Well, I'm 34. Chris says I'm 34. Yeah, but we're working to get to the guys. And I had my first therapy session in years, but I feel like I have so much going on that it would take hours to unpack, and the therapy sessions just don't last long enough. Yeah, Samantha, it takes a while to build that relationship with your therapist. It definitely does. Healing is hard because we have to look at ourselves. Sometimes so many of us don't like what we see or are afraid of what we may find. Brett also, I give Brett a love of the show. Brett also gets a love of the show. I agree with that. Like the thing about healing is you have to look at yourself and confront the parts of yourself that you don't like, or the part that is there, but you're like, I want to work on that later. And when you're busy, like somebody like me, for example, like when you're busy and on the go, it makes it harder to sometimes sit there with your feelings and your thoughts. So I'm a big fan of getting protected time, where I'll like take some time out, go to the dog park, or just drive and listen to some music and just think and clear my thoughts. But it can be scary to be alone with your thoughts, and that healing process, it takes a while, and it's tough because like as you heal, like nobody just heals and like you're like that, you're fine. Like you're healing and then other things are happening and chipping away at like your process as you're going up, so you have to be okay with at least going in the right direction. You might not go as fast as you want, especially like I said, with people with ADHD or rejection sensitivity dysphoria. When you feel things, it's hard to like move past that. So you can't be too hard on yourself. Um, Somebody says advice for PTSD, much love. Um, Ooh, tough. I mean, sexual abuse. Wow. Not on topic, but let me address that real quick. I think I'm a big fan of therapy with a professional. And of course, like it's good to talk to friends and things like that. But sometimes you have to unpack certain things, and sometimes people put it off until they get to like maybe a relationship, and that trauma like manifests in the relationship where there's issues with intimacy, and maybe the other person doesn't know, but you're having a hard time like talking about it. So I would definitely say like therapy would be helpful, but also forgiveness. Forgiveness is also something else. I got a couple of videos to post about that, but forgiveness is really for yourself, not for the other person. But it's like liberating. It's that way like you're forgiving them, which is allowing you to move on. Now you're no longer like what happened, and if we could reverse it, we would have loved to have done that. But it happened, and now like you're freeing yourself from the power that that person has over you. So I will say that. Uh, what's the next step when you recognize those things that people keep throwing your history back in your face? All right, so Ariana, there's a there's a difference between like like hurt feelings, right? Because somebody told you something and you felt it a little bit too hard, versus somebody who was like throwing things in your face, and like sometimes people just want to fuck with you for no reason. I don't know how else to say it. Like sometimes people are just malicious and they see that you're healing and that you're evolving, and for no apparent reason they just want to like hold you back. So that's different, in that situation. If you can maybe not cut them off. I mean, depending on who that person is, but spend much less time with them and spend time with people who support you. That's what I would say to that. Get coaching from Coach. Brad, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And we have to put the coaching stuff on pause. My schedule just went out of hand. I'm getting busier and busier, Mickey Ficky, but I'm hoping to see if our team can figure something out. Dancing, dancing is therapy in a sense, And before I make my videos, especially now that I have a roommate on the bottom floor. Like, well, he'll make videos too, but before I make my videos, I'll cut the volume up and I'll play like I'll just start playing like some different songs. It's like warm up. Like I just start hyping myself up, and then after I'm listening to the music for like a good 30 minutes, I'm in a good mood. And then when I make the videos, like I'm laughing, I'm smiling. It's hard to like get on camera, like unless I just came back from the gym and I have the energy. But it's hard to like eat your Waba grill and I've eaten my meal and I'm like in the couch and I'm like, all right, it's time to make content. Like I'm like, oh, I gotta make content. But once I'm up and moving, like the body's meant to be moved. Then I can like make content and I'm going. I feel good. Like I literally feel much better. Justine Pearson, I really appreciate you. Ray, I appreciate you as well. And I it's funny because like I post videos about like ADHD and all these different topics, like tonight's topic, and like my intention of like seeing patients was like I wanted it to be big, and my intention of like doing the coaching is I wanted it to be big. I wanted it to be big, but I don't think I fully understood the power of the internet. So when I started to get all these messages, I'm like, oh my goodness, like I didn't realize that I had a lot of. I mean, I know, but like I didn't realize that my following was so large. But like I would love to collaborate with like-minded people and put together something dope. And I wish the U.S. would just waive the state restrictions. That way, somebody in California can see somebody in Indiana and New Jersey and New Mexico, and I could like collaborate with my friends who are psych NPs in California, and then my good buddy who's a psychiatrist in New York, and maybe we can collaborate and put something together. But it makes it tough with the laws that we have right now. Let me get to some of these. Some people's coping mechanism is to hurt you worse than you hurt them, and it helps to accept that. Yeah, yeah, yep. And a lot of times you might catch yourself, trying to, because when you're hurt, right, and you don't know what to do, if you don't think it through, you're like, all right, like I'm hurt, like I need to do something to like make them feel it, and that's like a useless battle, right? Like you want them to feel what you feel, and depending on the person, they could care less, But you're out here trying to make them feel it, which is taking energy out of you, So that can definitely be very difficult. And Sophia, yeah, people just want to fuck with you for no reason sometimes. And Judy, yes, you have thought COVID would have helped to ease. Yeah, I don't know, and I I'm not like Judy, as you know, I'm not into politics like that, but I was like flirt with like, what if I ran for something? But I know I shouldn't be like throwing that out there lightly. But if the powers that be cared about what I thought, I have a lot of things that I would like to take to Washington D.C. or the capital here in Sacramento here in California. Like I feel like I would have a plan, not to say that I should be like them, like I respect what they do, but like I think some things should be changed, What was the hardest thing to overcome after being hurt and motivated you to get? Ooh, Mickey Ficky. And actually, thank you so much. Yeah, the community is what I love the most about social media. This community that we're building, like I love it way more than the followers, And getting followers is like a rush of dopamine. And as you know, with ADHD, I love it. Oh, 50,000, 100,000, 160,000 something on Facebook, and then on TikTok like 1.9 million. Like I like that, but even more than that, I like the community, like real people, like not no robots or the little, the little spam comments where somebody will comment like, "Are you still there? Am I cute?" I don't want the spam comments. I want that real connection with like real people who are like taking their time out to watch me. That's why I don't want this spam comments. Am I cute? Um, you know, send this to this email. You get $50. I hate IG is like filled with that, but I haven't seen it much on my posts, so hopefully I'm not speaking it into existence. Um, Alicia asked a good question. What was the hardest thing to overcome after being hurt, and what motivated you to get out of there? Oh, Mickey Ficky. Ah, hmm. Oh wow, the hardest thing to overcome after being hurt. So I mean, I've been hurt a couple of times by. I think it's worse when like it's somebody that you wouldn't expect to hurt you, and I'm like, damn, like I wouldn't have expected it to come from you. Um, and what was the hardest thing to overcome? I think that was the hardest thing. Like the fact, like yeah, the hurt, but also the person who I'm like, damn, like I thought we were cool, or like like I thought you were gonna look out for me. Why would you do X, Y, and Z? I don't want to get too much into that as personal, but it's like why would you do that? And I overcame it by having to be on my own journey, right? And the hurt feelings that like you know like are within you, they might not go away initially, but you gotta work towards something. So like the first step was like forgive them, and I say it like because like I didn't want to, but I'm like, all right, I'm gonna forgive them because I don't need them having that control over me. Like it happened, it's all good. And then I revert back to like, what can I do for myself? I can't control anybody else's actions, but I can only control myself, right? And life is, or at least for me, life is a lot about life is about uncomfortable decisions, risk taking. Like I'm at that stage in my life where, I would not have. I left a good job in Virginia that I worked all my 20s to get this job, right? And it's a good job, and my parents can tell people that, oh, my son is doing forensic psychiatry in Virginia, and they can brag on me, and I'm making all this money. I left that to come to California. I didn't even have a California medical license, and I hadn't even applied for it yet. I just felt like I need to be in LA. I don't know why. I just got to be in LA. I took the risk. I paid $4,000 to break my lease. Talking about impulsivity with ADHD, right? I broke my lease. I have a nice ass apartment in Virginia. I'm like, I got to get out of here. I got to get to LA. I don't know why. I got to get to LA. I felt like I had to get to LA. And I got to LA, and like I had to make the decision to move to LA. Tough decision. Came to LA, and we'll talk about ADHD and entrepreneurship another day, but made a couple of bad deals, lost some money, dealt with that, and then dealt with a couple of other issues until things started to work. And then in May, like, I started getting verified, and I started building a community, and things kind of took off, right? But I had to go through that, that like the uncomfortable moments up front. Like you have to go through it. So like life is not a game. Like I'm grown and like I have fun and I'm smiling online, but like I know that life is not a game. You're gonna have hurt feelings, ADHD or not. You're gonna be hurt by people, and you have to learn how to roll with the punches. And you know, I like to reframe it and say I'm just happy to have this opportunity to be out here, to get to do this, and to get to do this. I think it's exciting, But learning it's been so helpful for me to learn how to make uncomfortable decisions, to speak up for myself. And every single time I do it, I don't want to do it, right? Because it's uncomfortable. But like I've trained myself, like it's kind of like me waking up in the morning to go to the gym. I don't want to wake up at 4:30 and go to the gym, but I know that after I'm done with the workout, I feel so much better. So I just tell myself, we, that's what we do. We wake up in the morning, we go to the gym, and when we're hurt or whatever, we have uncomfortable decisions with the people that we have to have it with, and we move on, and we hope that they understand this. So learning not to run away from the discomfort is like a low key superpower. I think it's like a low key superpower. How do you study and keep focus in high school and retain all the? No, how do you study and keep focus in school and retain all the information? Good question. A good friend of mine who was recently diagnosed with ADHD asked me this, And I told him that, it just took me longer to do everything. Like it took me longer. Like people would get their work done in 3 or 4 days. It would take me like 6 or 7. And I would use my weekend time when I should be resting to do work because I couldn't get it done in 3 or 4 days. And it impacted, you know, relationships and things like that. But I didn't know what was going on, so I had to do what I could do. You know. Hey, Brett, I appreciate that, Brett. I appreciate that. We got you, Coach. And sometimes just like obviously like I know Brett, from the coaching. So Brett, I know you, but like just the comments, that's why a lot of people have their comments turned off. Like and Megan Good, for example, she she got divorced, and I saw she posted that video on Twitter, and Megan Good looks like Megan Good, so we're like, ooh, so. But she put the comments off. She doesn't want anybody commenting about her divorce because she's still healing, right? So why would you put yourself at risk for that, right? So like I know why people, like I believe that we should go through the process and process our emotions, and it's okay to feel hurt, but sometimes you have to not uh, be smart. So when celebrities turn off their comments, I completely get it. I get it. You have to protect yourself, and I remember I think it was my first day that I came to LA, right? I came to LA and I was looking for places. I think I've told the story before to some people, but I got a voice message from Demi Lovato, right? And I'm like, why the hell is Demi Lovato trying to reach me? Like, I'm just I'm a regular. I wasn't even verified at the time, so I'm like, why would she reach out to me? But she said, I love your content, blah blah blah. So we got back and forth, and we connected and we are talking. And she told me this is probably some of the best advice I received moving to California. She said, I love what you're doing. You're doing a great job. But just keep in mind that, like, to be this mental health hero and to do all these things for people, you have to really take care of yourself because you might get lost in everything and you might have a hard time, like, with your identity and keeping things together. And it's been about a year since she said that. And then, like, now I know exactly why she said what she said. And you all know her story, and yeah, I'm not gonna or their story. I messed with the pronouns. I apologize. But like now I know why they said that, because it's difficult being out here and also being like a mental health figure. But at the end of the day, you're just a person. So just by being vulnerable and being yourself, I think that's the key. So whether it's me or whether it's you, like just be yourself. Like you don't have to be anybody else. And it's just too much pressure to have to be somebody else, right? Like if you feel hurt, be hurt. That's just how you feel in the moment. Um, how can I help make things easier on him when Daisy's struggling? Who's him? Tessie Marie. Um, I didn't see that right there. And Josh saying, painful to know how much. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. So with the ADHD, yeah, it takes me longer to do things, and I just accepted that, right? Until I went and got professional help. Joey says, "How old were you when you realized?" I feel like I knew in like second grade, but I was diagnosed at 25. Um, after a week. Oh boy. And medication recommendations are always guidelines. Yes. So Taylor, real quick, I think the medications can be helpful, um, because it can help with impulsivity. It can help with emotional dysregulation, and if you feel things so much to the point where the hurt feelings manifest in you doing something that is not a desirable outcome, I think the medications could be helpful if you follow me on that. Um, yeah, no, Demi's journey is very respectable. Um, I'm inspired. I'm definitely inspired. Let me see. My kid's father. So I, I would actually recommend like individual therapy first, and then maybe like group therapy. Try to reconcile. That's what I would recommend, to make sure that you can process things. Sometimes some things are not just as easy as hey, do this. Like it's gonna take time, um, because a lot of emotions are like in that situation. So on both ends, right? Uh, let me see, Missouri. What's up? What's up? What's up? And so I'll answer this question. Actually, not on topic, but I'll talk about how to be there for a suicidal friend. I would say just to listen to them, you know. And I did a mental health panel with I Don't Mind and Mental Health America, and it was done in conjunction with something that YouTube was doing. I forget the event, but we live streamed it on YouTube. It was some big event, and they threw me on. Well, not threw me. It was calculated, but they put me on the panel, um, and we're talking about suicide prevention. And you had me, right, psychotherapist, and you had three other people who had lived experiences with suicidal ideation, right? And for me, it's not an uncomfortable topic to ask about because every time I have a new patient, we always get to that section where I'm like, hey, um, uh, I asked everybody this question, but any thoughts of like, wanting to hurt yourself or other people? So I ask that question every day. So it's not like weird for me to, um, to talk about it. But I think if you have a friend who tells you that, it can be like weird, like whoa. But from what I heard, and this is not medical advice, so this is experience, right? And an anecdotal story. Um, from being on that panel with me and the other three people who had lived experiences, all three of them told me that when somebody asked them about like their suicidal ideation, that it made them feel better and they got to talk through it and they realized, oh, this is not what I want to do. But sometimes like you're afraid to like talk about it. And once again, like if you're not a therapist, like this is not like a regular, this is not a conversation that you have on like a regular Thursday night. Like that's just not what people talk about. But you don't have to be somebody's therapist, and you don't have to be their doctor. You just have to listen, and just showing that you care and you're willing to help them get some help could go a long way. Could go a long way. Um, and how can you deal with feeling incomplete no matter what you do? So that's a good, um, that's a really, really good question. And I think it's important to understand that everybody's different and different things mean a lot depending on the person, right? So I always tell people like what are you good at? Like lean into that. And people ask me all the time, "Oh, you seem so knowledgeable, blah blah blah." I don't come out here talking about um like fishing or something. Like I don't know how that works. Like I don't come out here talking about NASCAR. I don't watch NASCAR, but I can talk about mental health. I can talk about sports. I can talk about relationships. Like if I know about it, I'll talk about it. But I don't talk about things that I don't know about. Because if I was forced to talk about NASCAR and fishing, I would be insecure because I don't know what I don't know. Like I don't know, right? I don't know. So finding things that you're good at is helpful. It increases your confidence, and also just sometimes working to shift your environment, right? Have people who don't make you feel as bad when you mess up, and for me, like I think I've done a pretty decent job of doing that. And like I've been talking to my friends, I'll cut them off mid conversation, not on purpose, but like they'll just like let me know without making me feel bad. So like having people who support you can go a long way, long, long, long way. Can ADHD show itself as laziness? Yeah, people might think you're lazy if they don't know what's going on. Yeah. And Amy says, talking about suicidal thoughts is a way to ask for help. I told people I had thoughts and I've hurt myself, but then accept them. Luckily, my attempts helped me get medical help. Right. So I'll say this about that. Uh, it's like, I don't know, the system in this country, could use some improvement. And it's like, if like somebody has like those thoughts with like intent and a plan and they find it, you'll be admitted to like a psychiatric facility and you'll be there for a while and then we'll make sure you're safe. But for people who have like passive thoughts and like you're in the middle, it's like you're stuck in this. You're not sick enough to go to the psych hospital, but you're not like all the way okay to like be alone by yourself all the time. So that little middle ground is tough to navigate. But that's where having people you can talk to helps. And people think that like you talk to therapists and you tell them that, oh, I had a thought, but I have no desire to act on it. It's just a thought. People think that you're going to be admitted to the psych hospital right away, and it doesn't work like that. Like, if you have a good clinician, they should be able to work, through it. It's not just boom, TDO or 1013 or Baker Act, or it doesn't, not supposed to work like that. Let me see, current situation, but BPD rather than ADHD. Well, in terms of what the hurt feelings, Yoli, I appreciate that. I like that name too, Yoli. Yeah, and Whitney, yeah, being stuck there is it's tough. I think that's a conversation that needs to be had, especially during the pandemic. There's been a rise in suicidal ideation. So, let me see. What would you record? Oh, what'd you recommend? Oh, it's tough, Lauren. It's tough. It's one of those where I have to say I don't know. I don't know the answer. Like, you know, I mean, I did some training at the VA, and I was talking about this on a podcast today. This morning I had a podcast super early in the morning, like right when I came back from the gym, and we were talking about like mental health care in this country, and like I was saying that I like there's a little bit of guilt that I have, because when people ask me questions, right, about anything mental health related. Now, granted, I don't know everything, but if you ask me a question, I'm going to reply to you based on how I would tell that answer to my family member, right? So if I don't believe in something, why the hell would I lie to y'all and say, oh, this is good, but I wouldn't recommend that to my family? That's fake, right? So I would tell y'all what I would tell my family. And it's frustrating to find like a provider and blah, blah, blah. And, like if my family was like, if somebody in my family was like going through it, like what I would do is I would find the best provider, the best psychiatrist or nurse practitioner or whatever, and see how much they're paying, and I'll pay them whatever I gotta pay to get that person seen, and because there's not enough resources, but that's not practical, to tell everybody to do that. So I'm searching for like practical ways, and it's not efficient, right? You're spending so much money to like get medical help ASAP, but like at least from what I've seen in this country, it's kind of like between the have and the have-nots, which is unfortunate. Like, I think healthcare should be a right. It's not a privilege, in my opinion. So it's tough. It's tough. I think these things help, right? I think these lives where maybe somebody saw the live topic and say, "Oh, ADHD, her feelings. This is dope. I'm gonna tune in." I think these lives help, but like I know this is not a substitute for like professional help, and it shouldn't be, and I say that as a disclaimer, but I think provides like some form of validation, a little bit. Are your podcasts available? So Tessia, right? So I have a podcast, the What's Good with Dr. Kojo, that is available on all those platforms. We released 3 of those episodes, and we're still editing some more. And then this live right here that I do is available on my Facebook page and on YouTube and on LinkedIn. But the easiest place to find it is either Facebook or YouTube. That's what I would say. So this live, like after it's done recording, like you can go back and watch every live this week, if you want. Like it's gonna be there. You just get paralyzed in the world with tasks, independent on what it is. I still do. Judy, I like that. Because once you start, even if you take a break, you still started. So like you feel a responsibility to see it through. Tessa, the Y is silent. I've never seen that. Wow. So the Y is silent. Tessa. Tessa. Gotcha. Tessa. But I swear my dog is what keeps me going. I love my circle, but I don't feel like I'm full hearted, if that makes sense. What do you mean? You feel like it's tough to talk to. I mean, it could be, but there's something to be said about having a dog, right? Like my dog, earlier in my life, my dog was embarrassing me. It was pissing me off that the dog is barking. It was good because people will play back the live and they'll hear like a dog, barking. But I love my dog, and like like I cannot imagine life without my dog. Like, and whenever it's time for my dog to go, I'm gonna get another dog. Like, I'm never gonna not be without a dog. Like the love of a pet. Like my dog follows me everywhere, from the restroom to when I'm making content. I'm out here making videos, do my dance. My dog is like, and then they do the little, like they're hungry. So yeah, a dog. I love my dog. I love my dog. You were so right. Habits help control me and stop me from trying to fill in the blanks and having too many options. Okay, I beg I help, Tiffany. Do we help your ADHD or relieve it? Um, uh, I don't. Well, I enjoy doing this, so it's not hard to do. If that makes sense. Like, uh, like balancing my For example, tax season is coming up. A very frustrating time for the ADHD community. Please check on your ADHD friends during tax time. And I mean, I have assistants, so it shouldn't be that bad for me. Like, it's being done for me. I know that. But having to go get the 1099 from all the different companies I work with. I worked with so many brands last year. I have to get all that in. Uh, I have to get my EIN number from the three LLCs and blah blah, because I don't even use my personal bank account. It's so convoluted. So doing my taxes is frustrating. Um, I don't think that's help. I don't know about helpful or hurtful, but it's frustrating to get my taxes in. But I mean, I have to file taxes, right? So I will. But this doesn't take anything out of me because, like, I talk for free, you know. And yeah, dogs out there, angels, and working on. Sarah, if you're talking about like self harm, I would talk about well, you know, what I would teach my students. So it's like an educational thing. If you can find like something to replace, like when you get that, either impulsive or compulsive, drive to, fall through with self harm. If you can replace it with something else that helps to relieve the anxiety a little bit. It might not relieve it as much as like the harm, but something that doesn't harm you. And if it doesn't harm you, then it's productive. It's moving in the right direction. And uh, yeah, Judy, tax season is ridiculous. Like it's just not fun. You're like, oh, you try to figure out how much money you have to owe, and I'm getting flustered thinking about it. Mickey Ficky. And yeah, Chris, this is these last 2 years are some of the hardest years to have depression or anxiety. I don't think there's ever a time that it was like easy to have depression or anxiety, but it's definitely been complicated with the pandemic and the work from home situation. And it's good to talk about it. It's good to talk about it. I think it's very cathartic. I have no issues completing the task I'm interested in. Yeah. If you're interested in it, uh, it's a high likelihood that you'll see it through. Can untreated ADHD lead to depression? I believe so. Feed emotional swings. It could. I don't think that's what happened for you, but I could see how that could happen. Um, okay, Kimber, I'm happy that worked for you. I don't know if I want to mention that brand out loud because people ask me, "What do you think of this service?" Whatever. I don't know. I've never worked with them directly, so I don't know if they're helpful or not. Laisha, I appreciate that. And I do my best to talk here the way I talk in real life. Just in real life, I might I think I cuss. No, not I think. I know I cuss a little bit more in real life, but it's not like cussing at somebody. But it's more so like singing a song or like playing a video game and just go through the motions. just signed up, and uh, I'm trying to think about my taxes. Oh boy, I just can't. Ali, I appreciate you. I feel like a weirdo. Yeah, it's sometimes it's hard to explain things to people. Is it really important to take your so Tessa? I said it correctly this time. I I would say go off of what your doctor tells you. Because I ain't trying to get sued. But like I think, or I tell my patients, at least for like routine purposes, um, unless there's a different plan. There's a different plan. And Angelica, we're gonna have we'll have like a because I want to have some. I don't want to, but I'm building my life on routine now and structure. But like I like to jump all over the place. But we're gonna have like a period of time dedicated to bipolar and bipolar type 2, and then we're gonna find ways to make it relevant, right? Like how can we like get people who I think if let's say we're talking about bipolar and we have people who don't care about mental health, but they tune in. I'm like, all right, like I'm trying to figure out how you connect the two. Um, and I read an article the other day where Jim Carrey and Mariah Carey, I know they're not related. I don't think they're related, but both of them were talking about having bipolar disorder, and both of them are legends, staples. So we can find that time to talk about that. But I feel like I posted about bipolar on my page. But if not, I got more videos coming out soon. After your name on your um, after your name on your live, you can have a box that says like I mean, yeah, I can, but I don't want to take like it's very aesthetic right now if you look at it. Or maybe I should look this with the camera, but it's very aesthetic right now, right around here. I don't want to take up space, with little disclaimer box, but we have it somewhere on the page here. And yeah, I just trying to let people know like, hey, like, I'm not, I don't want to do any harm first and foremost. That's like my first intention. Um, the use of exclamations. Um, Chris was asked later the conversation. Yeah, it could. You know. Uh, yeah, and no, Tessa, I understand. A lot of times, like if you're forgetful, it might be hard to take the medications, right? So, phone reminders can be helpful. Sticky notes. I'm not sticky notes because, or else I would have had one out here. But those could be helpful. You know. Oh, this got the sweatshirt. Hold on, real quick. Morehouse, yeah. I did not go to Morehouse, but the showroom left the HBCUs, so I got the Morehouse drip on. Yeah, it's so easy to get distracted by my feelings easily. Ray nephew, what do you mean by when you say that? Any recommendations for tools or planners apps? What I use Google Tasks. I'm a big fan of Google Tasks because I can pull it up on my computer, both screens. I can pull it up on my I keep three phones. I don't know why I do that, but I got one, two, and I got my main phone right here, all of which have the capability of Google Tasks and things like that. And then my iPad has Google Tasks. I have an iMac downstairs, and I have a MacBook. All of them like they're all hooked up to the thing, right? Because if I leave somewhere, if I go from here to like downstairs, I might forget like what I was doing. But if I hop in the laptop, it'll remind me exactly what I had to do. Because like if I go from place to place, I might forget. So I use that. And I use the timers, and for the most part, and I also have an assistant, which makes it easier for me. But I'll use WhatsApp and I'll say, hey, remind me to do so and so, to do this, remind me to do that. And it's helpful. Every bit of help is helpful. Is it ironic that my main hyper focus is your videos? I I don't know. Maybe like I mean I think this is a good way to hyper focus. I think it's or if you're talking about the reels, I think that's a good way of like I'm trying to teach you something, but I'm also trying to make it funny, and like I think the the way that the content is it is algorithm a little bit, but the content too, the way the content is like placed, it makes it easy to watch like 47-second videos and just like scroll, 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 scroll. Before you know it, like you forgot like what you were doing. Different foods impact. Yes, they do. And actually, where is that book? I think it's downstairs in my kitchen, but I spoke. Actually, you know what we're gonna do? Because this show is gonna evolve, y'all. I'm telling y'all, this show is gonna evolve. We're gonna make it work, and I'm gonna do it because I'm having fun with this, and I'm looking at this engagement. I'm gonna do what I have to do to figure out how StreamYard works, but I would love to bring on Dr. Ramsey and Dr. Nadu, uh, um, and talk to you all about nutritional psychiatry and what foods are good, what foods you might want to avoid with ADHD. We will definitely do that. Like I'll bring them in on a split screen. We'll make it fancy, and we'll take questions. But for people who don't want to take meds, or whatever the case is, like modifying your diet is helpful. And for me, cutting out processed foods was like the biggest adjustment. But I feel better. I don't know if I look better, but I feel better. I'm not eating all those processed foods I used to just dump in my body, because being a guy, you can go run and lose the weight so fast, but like I'd still be feeling like blah, like I wouldn't feel energized. Um, with my ADHD and relationship, I am grateful to be diagnosed. Now that my husband and friends now understand that I'm a non-reliable, forgetful person, not on purpose. We kind of make a joke of it. I'm on Mandy's. I like that. I'm on Mandy Standard Time. Uh, yes, I like the fact that and that's what the diagnosis does for you, right? Because it's gonna make relationships hard. And I'm just speaking from personal experience because like I got to a point where like in past relationships I was like I know I'm bugging your ass, right? And then she'd be like, yeah, like I knew that I was stressing the other person out. So now that you know, you can proceed. And I think people just need a safe space. People just need a safe space to talk about it and to process their feelings. And it goes a long way. So Mandy, I know you feel. Actually, I don't know because I don't know you, right? I can't say that, but I'm pretty sure that you feel better now that you know what's going on and your husband and your friends. Like it's a joke, but they're not laughing like at you; they're laughing with you. So like it's a safe space where you're allowed to be like not reliable, but you're gonna be put in a position where you can like lean in on your strengths, right? And then when we've been talking about ADHD relationships this week for the most part, but I think on Monday's live we spoke a little bit more about it. And yeah, it's key. And I remember, another good story, quick little story time. And I'll get off. But I remember somebody was asking me about. It was a friend of mine asking me for relationship advice, and I'm like, I ain't the most perfect person, but I'll give you my advice. And they asked me, this is when I was dating my ex girlfriend. They asked me what made me uh like what made me like ask her out, because I'm not the most like I'm not like a commitment phobe, but like I got a million things going on, and I like my time, space, and routine. Um, but yeah, Andrew asked me, he's like, "What made you date?" You know, my ex. He said her name, and I thought about it, and I knew the answer instantly. And it was a conversation I was having with her. And this might give you all some insight. Uh, I'm happy Andrew asked me this question because I was like, well, I guess I'll tell you. But the conversation I was having with my ex at the time, uh, I said something along the lines of, she asked me something, and I said something along the lines of, oh, I'm so ADHD, I'm all over the place. And then her reply was, oh, that's fine. I'll go all over the place with you. And I was like, that was kind of dope. I said that was one of those like low key, heartfelt moments. I'm like, oh shit, okay, okay, because like normally, like if people don't know like how you are or whatever, because like in my world, I just kind of like do shit all over the place, and it makes sense to me. Like I mean, like I'm making progress, but it doesn't make sense to people. So I'm like, all right, this let me do what I gotta do. But for somebody to be like, oh, I'll be all over the place with you, I'm like, hold up, like, all right, maybe I should ask her out and take her on a trip somewhere, blah blah blah. But th- that was I think I helped to provide a lot of insight to Andrew, like, oh, this is what helped me. Maybe when you want to ask a girl out, maybe look for this or maybe look for that. But yeah, that was helpful because when you know somebody has your back, you know that they're not like laughing at you, but they're laughing with you if they're laughing, but like you're on the same team. So that could help to provide some insight. I love when some of these uh, um, stories come up. Is that same girl from 20? Oh no, I've had a couple of different exes. I used to have, I know not the same girl from 2017. I used to talk more about this on my TikTok live, like when I had like 50,000 followers. And now it's just the platform is too big. I can't get too specific with story times. But yeah, I think that story time can help y'all out. Boundaries. Can you afford to stay and watch the video will be available on? Yeah, yeah, hey, yeah. If you have to check out, I don't mind. Like, I see the numbers dropping throughout the night. I know it says late now without the coder, right? But numbers drop throughout the night. But like, yeah, the live will be here tomorrow. Like, when you wake up in the morning, let's say you dropped out, an hour and 10 minutes, and just put like a reminder on your phone. Say, hey, let me go back to Kojo's Facebook Live and to watch from 110, and then you can watch the rest of it. Yeah, watch it, or like you can like play it in the office, right, as background noise. That's what I do. I put like background noise, like while I'm doing things. It just helps me clean or like wash the dishes, or I don't know. I just like background stuff. Um, and yeah, Christina, yeah, that's seriously dope. And I think that's something that for those of us with ADHD, I think that's something that we should be looking for, right? We should be looking for supportive people, a supportive teacher, supportive doctor, supportive friend, supportive partner. It is support goes a long way. Support goes a long way. Leisha, I appreciate you. But support goes a long way. Knowing that somebody's in your corner, like that's tight. That's tight. Why we get scared of being hurt when asking someone who does not have ADHD to date you, but yet he accepts you and encourages you to be yourself. Well, looks like it worked out. But maybe it's being afraid of the rejection. I'm thinking, and I don't think anybody likes rejection, and even me, like I'm used to like rejection, like with a lot of things. Submitting proposal, doesn't work, or submitting like I'm used to like things not working, and then the next thing works, but it's still not a cool feeling. It's still not cool. Nobody likes rejection. Structure and routine are a must for me. I have to have my routine and motivation is nice, but this Jennifer, this one is key. It's key, and for me, like I'm a big fan of like low commitment things, and then build your way to it. So even when I was doing this live, I was looking at my schedule, and I'm like, all right, I could probably do this thing every day of the week because like I'm just talking like I taught my ass off anyway. But then I'm like, all right, hold up, I don't post content on weekends or new content unless it's like scheduled. So I take weekends off to relax and blah blah blah, and then come back hard on Monday. And then I told myself, I remember I was contemplating like a 4-day work week, and I'll still film some videos tomorrow because I was writing my book today. I was writing a little bit of the book, so I was a little bit behind my videos, and I'm getting a haircut tomorrow, so I'll be fresh as hell. So I'm gonna make some videos tomorrow, but I've been flirting with the idea of taking Fridays off. So now as I think about it, I'm like, okay, how about we do the show from Monday through Thursday? So last week I just did Monday through Thursday, and then I felt how I felt. I'm like, I like this. I can do this Monday through Thursday, and it gives me Friday for like blah blah blah. And even if like when the guys come in town and people are hanging out, they can be downstairs and they'll be like jumping up and down and playing Madden, but like they'll chill out for me to do the live. So it's a consistency thing. And for me to do this show Monday through Thursday and to do it, like it's almost like a challenge for me. And I've been making short form content, which like I figured out my way to put it out there and y'all like it. So I love that. But I'm gonna still put out that short form content, but I want to challenge myself because like this is a new challenge. Hey, can you go live 4 times a week on StreamYard? Connect with people, and it's easier when you have the engagement. It makes it super easy. But can you do this consistently over and over and over again? And as I do that, it boosts my confidence. I'm like, oh wow, like I did something that I said I was gonna do, and now I feel like a rock star. And when you can't follow through on things, I think that's pretty damaging for your talk about hurt feelings. Like it's damaging for your self-esteem. Sarah says, I'd like to have a talk about ADHD and relationships with employers and coworkers at some point. I need my boss to understand how to work to my strengths, but I also know everyone can't cater to me. But if I'm given a task, they need to know I'm not processing it if I'm given a task while I'm actively doing something. I'm not lazy, but I can't remember the instructions. Yeah, that's a conversation that needs to be had. And for me, I think having like a fair amount of autonomy with ADHD is helpful because like my schedule is mine for the most part. I still put myself in a schedule and go to the gym in the morning and go to all the podcasts and things that people invite me to, but I have flexibility within my schedule, and that provides me like this great. It gives me so much like a sense of peace and like I just feel good knowing that like tomorrow if I didn't want to make videos, I don't have to make videos, right? But it means I'm gonna have to work harder on Sunday night or Monday because I still need to do what I said I was gonna do. But I can take tomorrow off if I want to just ride around, Beverly Hills or Venice Beach tomorrow and just like, take my dog out and try a new restaurant. I could do that, but I don't want to because I have things to do. But I could if I wanted. So it's helpful when, and not saying you have to leave your job, but if you can get like some type of autonomy or just maybe have your boss say, hey, give me some space and let me just don't worry about what I do in this 4 hours, and I don't micromanage my assistants. I hate micromanaging because I don't like being micromanaged myself. So like I have the job there. I ask my assistants, hey, can you take care of A through D? Boom, 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 boom. Regular 8 hour day. If my assistant gets the work done in 3 hours and everything is done and they chill for 5 hours, I don't care. Like I'm not like, oh, do the busy work or here. No, like the job is done. We can go home. I don't care. Just can we get the job done? And then that's all I care about. Let's just get the job done. Um, enjoy yourself. Yeah, no, I definitely will. I definitely will. That's what Fridays are for. But like after I get a haircut, like I'll be fresh as hell. So like I gotta make like one video or something. But yeah, enjoying yourself is definitely key. And I like seeing my dog. Anytime like I pick up the keys, my dog like starts to like wag her tail, and it's dope. And the good thing about LA is you can take dogs everywhere. Unlike the East Coast where I took my dog back home to Tennessee for the break, and people were looking at me like I was wild, and I'm like, oh shit, I can't bring my dog out here. And I have to like hold my dog outside the store. And in LA, you can just take your dog everywhere. So we'll definitely have fun out there. Yeah, micromanage. What's the point? What's the point of micromanaging? Since I guess some bosses are like, I want to see you work every second. But that's why people are leaving all these jobs. Have a Friday family policy in my office. No. Ooh, Jermaine, I like that. I have a Friday family policy in my office. No in office work on Fridays. So they can work from home, or I like that. I really like that. And during the break, I gave my assistants 2 weeks off. This regular paid, but just go be with your families. And it turned to 3 weeks. So I had COVID. So when I came back, I wasn't really back. I was just tired. We can work process. Jeremy, I like that. I like that. That's neat. That is neat. And like I think it's a marathon. Like I like Jermaine's idea, and I like that. And I'm gonna start randomly giving my assistants like maybe a Friday off, or I'm like just go and just do something with your family, or just like Go to the, I don't know, just do something fun, because sometimes you have to force yourself to get out the house. And like I made my home comfortable to where I don't really have to leave. Like I have everything I need at home, but I'll get cabin fever if I don't. I gotta move. I gotta do something. Being a single parent of 5 kids and a dog, and Christina, Mickey Ficky, sheesh. Just reading your your comment. Yeah, it's tough, but I do know one thing: you're doing a good job. Freedom to live life. Yeah, I agree. And if more, Jermaine, if more bosses knew that, I think they know, but people just don't. Sometimes people don't want to listen. People have their way of doing things, and like, all right, this is how I do things, and I'm not going to change. But I'm a fan of, you have to adjust, be flexible, figure out what works, what doesn't work. That's all a part of the struggle. Background music, even when grocery shopping, my kid's daddy likes his headphones in or not, but he has to have music all the time. Sometimes frustrating, but never considered that as a tool that helps. Yeah, I'm the same way. I like to, like, if I could control it, I have my AirPods in at all time. Like I need music, like, just like, I just like having music on, or just like maybe the TV. Like I need some background, stimuli. But I stopped because I'm in LA, and like I look at the news, and like when I'm out, I know I'm not the most attentive. So when I'm out pumping gas or whatever, or like I'm on the lookout. I'm just making sure that I'm safe, just kind of checking the area around, make sure nobody runs up on me. But for the most part, uh, I like to have the music in my ears. It's pretty helpful. So okay, so we've hit. Oh, all right, we've hit the 90-minute mark, and it's funny because I had a supporter reach out when the show 2 days ago was 45 minutes. And she was like, "Oh, the show wasn't long enough." I'm like, "Yeah, I have to go do that collab." But I like the 90-minute mark. Now I'm still trying to figure out what that sweet spot is, but I like this 90-minute mark. I think it's dope. I think it's tight. I think it's definitely tight. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good live. Um, uh, Let me answer Jermaine's question, and then we'll get out of here. But yeah, I think this is pretty good live, and of course, my team will review it and figure out some new topics. But I'm always curious, like thinking about what next week's topics are. Maybe I'll ask this subscriber group or something. But how you handle over processing conversations and visually processing details day to day. Oh, so when you say over processing conversations and visually processing details, um, what do you mean? Do you mean like you're looking too much into it, or because I want to make sure I understand that before I answer it. But yeah, we can switch. Later, I agree. I go layers deep. All right, okay, all right. So over processing conversations, I think so. A lot of times it's hard to be present, right? Like you're having a conversation with somebody, and I mean, if ADHD is involved, like your brain might be all over the place, you know. And even if you don't have ADHD, sometimes you might like really think about, oh, what's this person saying, or what's that person saying. And you mentioned visually processing details day to day. I think there's something to be said about do your best to like bring it in into that moment. Sometimes when you're having the conversation, depending on what's said, like one thing that I've noticed is that if I'm talking to somebody about something and they mention something that is like interesting for me, like it will like trigger something in my brain and I'm thinking about that thing. They might say blah 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 blah, and then I have to go get this from Buffalo, and I'm flying back here, and I might start thinking about my friend in Buffalo, like, oh, I wonder what they're up to. Like sometimes you might just kind of go off. So I think there's something to be said about doing your best to stay present, stay within the moment, and right, the rabbit hole, and try and figure out what is said. And because it gets embarrassing when someone's having a conversation with you, right, and they're talking for like a good 40 seconds, right, and they're talking, right, and as they're talking, they're using their hands, they're trying to explain things to you, and it's time for you to like speak again, but then you weren't paying attention, so you try and think about one thing that they said. So when you talk to them, when you talk back, it looks like you weren't like in La La Land, because that's embarrassing, right? And then it's hard for you to be like, hey, can you repeat what you said? Because then they're gonna be like, never mind. So what I do is, happens to me a lot. What I'll do is I'll figure out what was said in that conversation that I could follow, right? And then like, because these things just might happen. What was said in that conversation that I can follow, that I kind of got, right? And I reply back with that. And as I reply back with that, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, well, blah blah blah." And then as they talk more, you're pulling more information in, and it's kind of like a social trick to like, because nobody wants to feel like they're not heard. That's a very hurtful thing for the other person. Like, this person didn't listen to me. So if they spoke for like 30 seconds and then you caught like the last part, you can say, "Oh well, why did you feel the need to travel back from Buffalo?" Or like, um, are you working from home, or something like that? And then they're like, "Oh well, yeah, because remember how I said blah blah," and then like, "Oh, they said that," and then like and then it might like jog back what they said. And even as I'm explaining this, I feel like you either get this or you don't. But you can get lost deep in the conversation, and it's easy to like to lose it. So I think just mentioning one thing from that conversation can help to bring it back in. Because it's happened to me a lot of times, even in like professional settings, and then you have to kind of like bring it back in, and then hope that nobody knows what knows that you didn't get everything, because then you're like, damn, like I feel like I'm just talking a bunch of bullshit, and you have to convince yourself that you're not like losing it. So it's important to not judge yourself, but just understand that if you can bring it back in a little bit, it can be very helpful. But that's a really good question, and I feel like that provided people with some value. And for me, like if I'm talking to somebody and they're like, "I'm so sorry, I didn't hear," I'm not as upset because I tend to do that. So I'll repeat that to somebody. I'll repeat it maybe twice, maybe the third time. I'm like, "Are you listening?" But like I don't mind repeating for the most part because I tend to not follow somebody myself in conversation. So we all could use a little bit of reorientation every now and then. Nothing wrong with that. And I thought that should be a skit. Give me some ideas. Give me some ideas. I could definitely put that in a skit as I get my fresh haircut tomorrow. Forgetting a conversation. Yeah. I think I have an idea for that. I just haven't done it yet, so I got to get that out. Yeah. Jermaine, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And good questions, by the way. I really like the questions. It gets my mind going. Like the question can turn into a piece of content that's helpful or funny or whatever the case is. But that's a really good question. I like that. Okay. All right. But I'm gonna head off. I do have one more meeting with an assistant, and then after that, I can call it a night. Maybe I don't know. I feel like playing basketball, but it's late. So I'll call it a night. But this has been a great week. Second week of doing this. I'm having fun. We will be back here Monday, same time, both coasts, 6 o'clock here, 9 o'clock on the East Coast. So yeah. Thank you so much for your attention. If you've made it this far, I appreciate you, Ali. Thank you. And we're having a blast doing this, and I can't wait to hear from you all and read the comments and see what the topic is, so we can have something for next week. So until next week, peace. Take care. How you snap? Yeah, I gotta snap to remember things. Yeah, I'm literally like, all right, y'all.